The Vítor Matos revolution has started at Swansea City, and having got off to a stuttering start, back-to-back wins have lifted Swansea out from around the bottom three and up into relative safety. And we're going to have a quick look at what has changed, what's going right and what's going wrong under Matos. Now, let's start with what's going right. They've won 2 games of football, and in Swansea's position, that is incredibly important. The tailspin at the end of the Sheehan's reign, the start under Matos, where they'd taken that 2-goal lead against West Brom, only to lose the game 3-2, going into the Oxford game, a team around them, and at that time just above them in the league, and a Portsmouth team also in that vicinity, and to win both games 2-0 is absolutely massive. So what's been different? I've seen lots of Swansea fans talking about, in particular, the out of possession work, and it does feel like Matos is starting to implement a pressing philosophy, a more effective press, a means by which his team can be more effective out of possession. And that's not a surprise, given who he's worked with in the past, given that he was part of Jurgen Klopp's coaching team at Liverpool. That gegenpressing, that desire to kind of immediately close down the opposition when you lose the ball is something we're sure to see him instill. And for it to come off so quickly and for it to be effective so early on in his reign is obviously really important. There's also the fact that Swansea are scoring goals. You know, there was the goal scored late on against Derby, the 2 goals scored early against West Brom, the 2 goals scored against Oxford, and then of course the brilliant strike from Cullen to win the game against Pompey. So the output from an attacking point of view was incredibly reliant on Zan Vopotnik, and we saw that when Vopotnik was out, Swansea really struggled for goals under Sheehan, with Adam Eder really struggling to look anywhere near the kind of player that Swansea hoped they would be getting on deadline day. But now, not only are Swansea scoring goals, but it's not so reliant on Vopotnik as well, with the goals being shared around. Now, what I would say is that the goals themselves don't look overly repeatable to me. Josh Tymon's goal, his volley against Oxford, was, in my opinion, the best goal we've seen in the Championship so far. Just an absolutely outrageous strike, an incredible piece of technique to keep his balance as he backpedaled and volleyed it into the top right-hand corner. I'm an Oxford fan. I hated to see it, but if I was there, I'd have stood up and applauded. An unbelievable strike. Similar story with Ethan Galbraith, who scored a worldie from distance against Derby. And then scored a worldie from distance against West Brom. Again, I'm not sure you can really rely on Ethan Galbraith scoring from 25 yards consistently, albeit he nearly did it again against Oxford. And I'm not sure how much credit we can give Vítor Matos for obviously there was a positional change in Galbraith and getting him on the ball in those advanced areas more often. But the execution from Galbraith was brilliant on both occasions. The Vopotnik goal from kickoff was obviously very good early on, and the Cullen strike against Pompey was another brilliant finish. But again, I'd like to see better chances being created by Swansea, more consistent, shots being taken from inside the box, where if you look at the underlying numbers from an XG point of view, from a touch in the box point of view, there's actually no real difference between the end of Sheehan's reign and Matos's reign as well. So there are obvious positives to be taken, but you also have to mitigate that by the quality of the opposition that Swansea have played against, where you'd have to say right now, looking at the league table, and given that Norwich are picking up, what are your 2 or 3 easiest home games of the season? It's probably Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth and Oxford, and Matos has had 2 of those back-to-back in his 3rd and 4th game of his spell, which is going to be important. So the tests will come now. The trip to Stoke this weekend will probably learn a lot more about how far this team have come. What I would also say is that we have a situation which is not ideal, where Vítor Matos wants to bring in backroom staff, and they are unable at the moment, in his own words, because of Brexit, to come and join him. And that means we've got Joe Allen and Leon Britton currently assisting him. Now, they might be doing a very good job, but it's clearly not ideal that Matos wants to bring his own men in alongside him in the dugout, and as of yet has been unable to do so. And how long that takes, we'll have to see. But I think often in football, it can be massively underestimated how important it can be for a manager to have certain people alongside them. And we often see managerial tenures change vastly in terms of style of play and success and everything else when it's a different assistant manager and coaching staff alongside them. So I think it would be unfair to jump to any conclusion so far about Matos, either positively or negatively. Swansea haven't overnight turned into a much, much better team. They haven't overnight turned into a worse team. I think what we've seen so far is some elements of positivity, and hopefully the good results will see that continue going forward. But it's going to be in the next few weeks where we see exactly what he can bring to the side, and hopefully the little bits of positivities we see, certainly in that out of possession work, there'll be more bits like that which will give us an understanding as to what this Swansea City side are going to look like. So it's tentative positivity from me, maybe a bit of a dampener, just saying we need to see a bit more, especially more repeatable patterns of play within the opposition's final third that will yield goals. But certainly those back-to-back wins have been a massive, massive boost for Swansea City, for Vítor Matos, and surely we'll get the Swansea City fans on side as he looks to continue their move away from the relegation zone.